Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I am Jason Lepore. As always, my co-host Zach Partridge in the house. What's up, sir?
How you doing?
Good. I'm really good. Really good. It's a good week.
Man, Thursdays suck without football.
We had football yesterday during the day at 1:30 in the afternoon.
That game sucked. That game was stupid.
That game was horrible.
Stupid.
So we got a special guest tonight, Mrs. Asher the Basher Hayes, my good friend. Yes. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Very good. I'm glad we could finally get you on after rescheduling a few times. And
thank you.
Yes. No, thank you. Why I have this up, I'm going to share this on your Facebook page so people can see it on your page and on Instagram.
Sweet.
So hopefully we get lots of questions for you. So Ash, yes. Pro debut next week, right?
Well, yes. There is news on that because it is the year of things getting postponed.
Oh, please don't tell me it's gotten
it is
postponed.
Still on. It's going to happen. The same card, same promotion, same everything, but it's looking like January 30th.
Ah, so they're moving it away, huh?
Yeah. It's been pushed back.
Where was it supposed to be at? Out in Tooele?
Yeah, out in Tooele at the Motor. What is it? Hold on, let me look.
Miller Motorsports Park.
Utah Motorsports Campus, and it's still going to be there. And Flash just signed a contract with. I don't know where it's going to be streamed yet, but it'll be televised. So whether it's audience, no audience, it is going to happen on the 30th.
Awesome.
Hopefully an audience. Hopefully, yeah.
Now, this is the second time now that it's been canceled because you were supposed to go to Vegas, right?
Well, this will be the third fight this year that has been rescheduled and pushed back. But it's a different promotion, different fight. This one should happen though. This one will happen.
Okay.
This will be the second time it's been postponed with Lash, but he's a man with a mission. He's going to make it happen. So it'll be good.
That's good. That's good. Good to know. Good to know. So tell us a little bit about what got you into boxing. I know you've done some kickboxing, kickboxing bouts before. What got you into fighting in general?
That's an interesting question. I kind of ask myself that a lot. It's one of those things that it takes a hold of you and it kind of, you just are along for the ride. But originally what started it was I was extremely unhealthy in every sense of the word. And I was looking for a fun way to lose weight. And once I started that process, just fitness, just like boxing, fitness, kickboxing. I got really hooked on the game and the whys and the competitive part of it.
Yeah.
And that's where it spiraled for me in a good way, in the best way, for sure. And boxing was always my favorite. That was my first love, but the opportunities were just there for kickboxing and Muay Thai. And those were my first two fights. But then I was able to really zone in on boxing. And I think that's my jam for sure.
How old were you when you started, Ashley?
Old. So I'm 34 now. I started my first fight. It was just like 2 years ago. So it was like 31, 32. Yeah. I have not been doing this long, not long at all.
So you and Zach kind of have a similar story.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
You guys have very similar. Yeah.
Pretty much the same. So I was like 270 pounds and just needed to find something to get in shape and got into an MMA gym and fell in love with the sport. And 3.5 years later, I started at 28, 29 and I'm 32 now and I've 5 fights and scheduled for some more that COVID's the year of postponing, but I fight at 100 and I fight at 185 pounds now and have my eyes set up at fighting at 170 pounds here soon. So
nice. It's interesting how that works.
Yeah. I hear all the time people like, I'm too old and stuff. I'm like, not if you just love it and you're just doing it to because you love it. It's all good.
Yeah.
It is.
No, I'm a big believer in that too. Like, do I wish I would have started years ago? Yes, absolutely. Because I see some some of the young studs in our gym that Joe works with, like, oh my God, they're so lucky to be where they are right now, training how they are with who they are. And I wish, but you know what? You can't live life based on wishes. It's just what you have right now. And then, and then you run for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, like you said, living unhealthy. I so unhealthy. I mean, it was like fast food, 3 meals a day. I think I ate McDonald's breakfast like probably 5 days out of the week.
They do a good breakfast.
I drank gallons of Dr. Pepper every day.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper.
It was just, and it was killing me. But I could not find something that would like get me in shape, but like intrigue me and stuff until I found an MMA gym and like kickboxing and jiu-jitsu for me. And, but it's amazing once you find something that you love, and then you find something that's worth changing other habits in your life. Yes. And that's with the big change, right? So the exercise, and then you're like, well, this is going to suck. I need to start eating better so this doesn't suck so bad. Because you want it, you get so addicted, you want to progress more than you want the bad stuff.
And it's less about like, oh, I should be eating this or doing this. It's I need to eat like this, or I'm going to feel not great when I go train tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or how do I need to eat after I train? Because that's the only way you're going to feel better after training hard. So yeah, I don't think anything else would have gotten me. And I tapped out at 280 pounds. I mean, I'm short. I'm like 5'4". I was super unhealthy.
Wow.
And young, like at like 20, 25, 27, when I hit that like max weight, and didn't matter what anyone told me or what I knew I needed to do. I had to find a reason. And for me, the competitive aspect, and it was competing with myself more than anything. And it's fun to get in the ring and to, beat someone else up, but it's that self competition, I think.
If there's, speaking of that, and I want to dig into that a little bit more for the people that are going to listen to the podcast after this airs, but what motivated you? You obviously get to this point, and Zach can probably touch on this a little bit. You get to this point where you're unhealthy, you're overweight, you're probably thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to begin. What was the deciding factor to say this has to stop? I have to make changes for myself and for my family.
I hate this question because the answer is so bad, but I'm just going to be real with you guys.
Do it.
Like I said, I was way too young, 25 maybe.
Yeah.
And I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, I look like my mom. And that probably sounds awful. And whoever I've told that to, they just die. But like, my family was not healthy. I was never taught the health ways to eat and what to eat and how to exercise and move your body and stuff. And for not this reason, I don't have a good relationship with her, but that's fine. That was my big, like, I refuse to be this young, this unhealthy. And that was my biggest motivating factor, because I didn't want that.
Did you make the decision to like jump into, did you go right into boxing classes, or did you just start going to the gym on your own? What process did you go to?
Well, you know my wife.
Yep.
She's always been more healthy than I was. And so I just started going to the gym with her, started doing what she was doing, started being mindful of, calories in versus calories out. And that was a good place to start because I was so heavy and so unhealthy. And once that started coming off and I started feeling a little bit better, I was like, I'm bored with this. I need something to help keep me progressing.
Yeah.
And then so we decided to try a boxing fitness class, and then we both got pretty hooked. And that's what made me be able to continue progressing and losing weight.
That's awesome.
I'm going to ask one question, and because I'll answer it honestly too. Did you ever get into anything and fail? Like, did you ever start like a journey of weight loss and then like it got too hard or fail? Because I did, like, multiple times.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a lot of good journeys that started with good intentions, and then you get derailed, just because of life or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
I felt like, I remember I was like 240 and I was like, okay, this isn't happening. Like I'm not going to see 250 on a scale. And I started playing basketball, like pick up basketball like 3 or 4 times a week. And I had a really bad ankle injury and I lost like 12 pounds and I got down to like 228. And then I got a really bad ankle injury. And before I knew it, I was up to 250. And then I'm like, okay, this is it. And then like I remember I started P90X and I was going to do that. And then I injured my shoulder one day and I couldn't do it, but I tweaked something in my shoulder and I couldn't do the workouts and I'd lost a little bit of weight. And then I was like 255 and I kept like, every time I'd make progress, every time I failed, I would end up worse than where I was before I made that progress. Cause it was so disheartening. You just had but yeah, everybody, you just have to get, wherever your rock bottom is or your breaking point. Like for me, it was, I have little boys. And for me, it was like, I wanted to make sure that like I was a dad that could play with his kids.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And injuries are one of the most frustrating setbacks in any kind of like physical journey or weight loss journey. And it's interesting you say an ankle injury. I had gotten a few months into my weight loss, gotten a terrible car accident where my foot, and it's my fault, I wasn't seat belted, but my foot took the brunt of the impact of a head-on collision, and my whole ankle just, I had bones sticking out, the whole thing, no tendons. I was never supposed to walk again without a cane, and that was in 2013, and I was just like, you know what, F that, and gonna mind over matter that stuff. But before, I gained a lot of weight in that process because I was in a wheelchair for months and then crutches for months. That's frustrating stuff for sure.
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's never too late.
It is never too late.
It might be harder than if you had done it a few years ago, depending. It doesn't matter what age you are. The younger you are, it always is easier. It just is, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. It's not.
I asked that question about how you got started in there because I was having a conversation with a client of mine about joining a boxing gym and because she had been working out at home and working out by herself at the gym. And I just told her, having that community of people to, just to help motivate you and push you. And I think it's priceless to have that.
It's so key. It really is. Whether it's someone in your home that you're living with that is doing it with you. You can't do it, but you can't do it by yourself. You can't.
100%. Well,
but a good community gym atmosphere is, whatever you're into, whether it's basketball or boxing or whatever. It's a huge part of the puzzle.
A common thing that I get is if I get a new client, I always ask if their significant other supports what they're doing because I've had clients that their significant other is not supportive, and it just makes it's almost impossible. Like
it is.
It's like just, I can't go on a diet. My wife bakes cookies. Like, how am I going to go on a diet when my wife's making cookies every time?
That's not helpful.
No, but you know what I mean. That was a total joke. My wife has a cookie business. So, but no, it's yeah. You didn't know that?
No.
Yes, you have to try them.
Yes, I do.
Their cookies are like this big. They're like 8-ounce cookies. They're freaking huge. It's called
I bet they're delicious.
It's called the Cookie Bin. You'll have to look them up. I'll send you the information on it.
Yeah. Do that.
So
no, it's that no, but the support system is home. That's huge. Like my wife, she was always on me to be healthier. She's a health nut and she's always just been so supportive and just so good at reminding me, and that makes a big difference.
It does.
So let's back to the fight game. So when did you take your first fight? It was kickboxing, right?
It was kickboxing. It was, I think this past September, it was, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
It hasn't been that long. It was when FitCon did their first outdoor event in Lehigh.
Okay.
That was my first fight.
And how many boxing fights have you had as an amateur?
I have a really light amateur boxing record, actually. I have my seven fights, I think.
Okay.
Which again is one of those things I wish I had what some of these kids have, just 20, 40, 50 plus fights. It's such great ring experience, but I'm lucky enough to have linked up with the people that I have who have the connections they have, who have pushed me to the next level. I mean, I'm not getting any younger, and that is the truth. It can't stop you, but you have to be realistic about it. Like, yeah, I would love to try for nationals and go to the Olympics and things like that. And anyone who has the time absolutely should, because it's just all valuable experience. But
yeah,
I just don't have that time. So if I have pro fights coming my way, then yeah, gonna do it.
Is that what kind of made the decision to go pro? I guess quicker. I guess you could say.
That and COVID this year, honestly.
Okay.
One of the first fights I had lined up this year was supposed to be originally in, I think, March, was in Vegas. It was a big amateur show that would have been good exposure for the next launching stage, which it's always been the goal to go pro, but that just kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And then we had other things line up. And I think I never expected by the end of this year to be talking about a pro debut. Never. Joe did. Joe has like this just unmeasured belief in me, which is awesome. I ride that most days. I ride his belief in me, but it's just the way things have gone, the way this year has been. So can't control that stuff. Kind of just have to get on the train and be like, yeah, I guess this is where we're going. This is where we're getting off. And that's kind of how it's gone.
How has training been during this whole pandemic thing? How have you had to adjust your training to make things work? I mean, it's obviously we're dealing with all this crap.
Yeah, no, I think we're some of the lucky ones, honestly, because we've had access to, even when everything was shut down at the beginning of the year, because of where I teach classes at Tidal in South Jordan, and because of their hospitality, we've never been without a gym.
Okay.
We were supposed to open our own gym at Horizonte downtown.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's been frustrating because we have this beautiful gym with like a nice ring and all this great equipment that we haven't been able to get into all year.
Oh.
And that's frustrating, but you can't think about that. We've been lucky enough to still be able to get into a gym anytime we wanted to. And so honestly, while most people have probably not been able to train as much, we've trained more. But that's just how Joe and I are. Thank goodness we've had that, or I think we both would have gone crazy.
I think everybody would go crazy. And the gyms that are closing down they're going crazy. Yeah,
it's tough. I mean, I can't even imagine. We've been lucky for sure. It's not ideal, and we have to go other places to spar, and we've had a lot of gyms be, again, hospitable that way. But yeah, you just gotta make it work, figure it out, do what you gotta do.
You can always come up and spar with us.
Yeah.
How is that spar? I mean, how is the boxing, the Utah boxing scene for females? I mean, I know there's.
Well, that's a great question. It's sparse. It's
really?
Sparse. It's hard. Yeah, it is. It's growing. And I think some of the best amateur boxers are probably in Utah and Idaho. I mean, you have, Mary Gwen and Kay Reeves and people like that who have gone to nationals multiple times and are planning on doing that again this year. MG, Mary Gwen, is also on the same card. It'll be her second pro fight, but she's done great things in the amateur boxing world. But other than that, there's not a lot. And the last amateur fight I had was with Maria Hernandez, and she's from Salt Lake. She trained at Louis for a long time. I'm not sure where she is now, but that's been some of the best sparring I could have ever asked for recently, just in the last few weeks. She's one of the best, and I'm lucky that she's here in town, because female boxers at my weight they're hard to come by for sure. So I have to spar a lot of dudes, but it's made me tougher.
That's what I was going to say. It's probably not a bad thing.
No, it's not at all. Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, yeah. It's Yeah, the girls that mix it up at our gym. One, a lot of the guys kind of look after them a little bit, but two, like they don't get it easy either. And
I almost got choked out by one last week
because you could tell. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I almost got choked out by one last week. So,
nice.
Ash, do you follow boxing? Do you follow the sport?
I do, not as much as I would like to. If I had more free time, I would more. But what's your question? I feel like a question.
My question, yeah, there is a question. Did you see the recent news with Clarissa Shields?
I did.
Signing with the PFL. What are your thoughts on her switching over to mixed martial arts?
Well, at first I was like, what is she doing? She's going to get so hurt. Women, MMA is brutal. I mean, it is brutal. I could have gone down that route, and boxing's brutal in a different way. I mean, you don't get to take a break, and it's just nonstop. And everything is, I mean, it's just so much tighter and more pinpointed and specific. And anyway, but MMA, I mean, it opens you up to so much more injury, like in a debilitating way. I feel like that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I've never done MMA. I've had the opportunity, like I said, but I have consciously chosen not to do that. So women who do that, I think are, pretty fearless, and that's awesome. But I was thinking about it, and I think it's probably because I get where she's coming from.
Yeah.
Won every belt and what is it, like 2 different weight classes?
Yeah, she's pretty much
supposed to do, until someone else, rises up through the ranks and can challenge her. I get where she's, I mean, someone like that, you're going to be bored and be like, okay, well, what's the next thing? What's the next thing I haven't conquered? Let's conquer that.
Yeah.
So that it makes sense.
I don't even think there's anybody for her to fight right now in boxing. So
exactly. Yeah.
There's not.
So I get where she's coming
that's why
from.
She had to make the jump, and what's going to be really interesting is to see her championship medal in a whole different perspective. Obviously, she's a fantastic boxer, championship, world class, all the accolades, everything, right?
Yeah.
Let's see her go through some adversity, because she is going to go through adversity in MMA. She's going to lose. You know what I mean? Like it might not be the first couple, but I mean, pretty much. Eventually everybody loses. And even if it's what is it? Kayla Harrison?
Harrison. Yeah. Kayla Harrison. Yeah. Harrison.
Dude, that girl, if they meet up within the next year to 2, she'll get destroyed, because it's just not enough time to catch up to that level. Right.
No, it's different. And people, unless you've trained in one or the other, or in any of them, it's all combat sports. And they're all jabs and crosses and hooks and uppercuts and kicks and whatever. But even just down to your stance, if you're fighting kickboxing, your stance is wider because you got to get your kicks off. But if you're boxing, it's centimeters make all the difference. Absolutely. And so that, for reasons like that, it makes me really nervous for her. But I think she's badass, and do what you got to do.
But like I said, so what I think is exciting is when she gets her first adversity, right? She's been winning for so long, she hasn't tasted what it's like to lose, and then you're going to see how she comes back from a loss, and that's kind of like what I enjoy to see with something like that. Is somebody how they come on the other side of adversity. Things are easy when you're winning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think she's probably intelligent enough to know that she's taking that risk.
I think so.
And she wants to challenge herself that way, for sure.
And she's not the only one. You had, was it Danielle Wolf that just was on the Contender Series? That same thing. She was a boxer that went into MMA. And I mean, Dana White gave her a contract on her very first fight. Like, she didn't have an amateur MMA fight. They just put her on the Contender Series, and she's got a UFC contract.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got to take those risks. You do.
Yeah. I don't blame it. I was just curious on what your thoughts were. And
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. It made me I made me so nervous for her, but then I was like, okay, no, but I get that.
Do you have a,
but then,
go ahead, Zach. Sorry. I
was just going to say, but then there's always the what if, because she is such a good boxer. What if she goes in and just starts murking chicks?
She could.
Little tiny, you know what I mean?
Out,
She's in those 4-ounce gloves, and she figures out that she's athletic and strong enough that as long as she don't let anybody grab her and get a hold of her, she's fine. What happens if she just starts murking chicks and knocking people out? It's gonna be, and then then she becomes then she becomes the freaking Henry Cejudo of the boxing world. Two sport champion and one of the world's greatest combat athletes. I dig it. I dig it for sure.
It'll be fun to watch. Definitely.
I'll be cheering for her. She's from my hometown, so I'll be rooting. Yeah, I'm from Flint, so
yeah, I forget about that. Yep.
In Flint, Michigan.
Flint town, baby. We got some athletes coming out of Flint. So do you have a favorite?
You and Mike Perry.
Me and Mike Perry. I don't associate me with Mike Perry. I don't want that. Do you have a favorite boxer that you follow currently? There's a big fight coming up this weekend. She's one of my
favorites to watch, like from Fight the Female boxing game.
Yeah.
Lomachenko is just so fun to watch because his angles, are incredible. The way he moves. Terrence Crawford too, same thing. They're some of my favorites.
Big John Steak and Onions. That's a Flint town special right there. It's one of my buddies from Flint. Terrence Crawford. Earl Spence is fighting this weekend, fighting Danny Garcia. That'll be a really good fight.
Yeah.
Hey Zach,
I wish I had more time to watch. I am kept too busy in the gym doing it myself. So.
You guys are literally posting videos every day, sparring and training. It's awesome. I think it's great.
Yeah, I don't love it. And in the sense of the fact that I'm usually in the videos.
Yeah.
But Joe knows that. I complain about it all the time. But I can't deny what it's done for myself, for him, for the other guys training with him. Like it's part of the, it's just what you got to do. It's just part of the day and age we live in. You gotta put yourself out there.
Going back to your fight, now that it got kind of postponed, but circling back to that, what do you know about your opponent? Do you know anything about your opponent? Is this the one that you had already fought?
No, that was one that was at the beginning of the year that got pushed back several times, and then ended up just getting scratched because it was an amateur show in Vegas and those just weren't happening. I would have loved to fight her again. And we still might at some point because I think her plan is to go pro as well.
Okay.
But we're not at the same weight anymore, so we'll have to see. And I won't go back up. I'll stay at 155. It just kind of seems to be the sweet spot. But what was your original question?
I just was curious on what you knew about your opponent. Yeah. Do you know?
I think her name is Deborah. I'm not sure. This is how I have to deal with my opponents. I don't want to know. I can't because that sends me down a rabbit hole that really at the end of the day doesn't matter what I do, my plan, my game plan, my mindset. That's the only thing I can think about because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what she's planning on doing as long as I do my plan and I do it fastest and I do it first and I don't get derailed. Does that make sense?
It makes,
and that might be a very ostrich sense. In the sand way of doing, but that's kind of how I live my life.
No, not at all.
I just have to, just whatever's right in front of me at the time. That's all that matters.
Everybody has their own thing that works for them in fighting. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite things about this sport, before I started 3.5 years ago, I was football, baseball, basketball. I had no idea about MMA, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and none of it. One of my favorite things is you could have 5 champions at 5 different weight classes that look at things 5 different ways.
Yeah.
And it works for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it works for them. Like for me, I study the crap out of my opponents. I break things down. I break it down, but I obsess over it and I go crazy about it. This kid at my gym, he's gonna be a big deal. He'll watch one thing. He'll just watch one fight, and then he lets his dad and his coach break down the rest and work on what they want and whatever. And then I know some people like you who I'm just gonna do me. It's interesting, but that's what I love about combat sports.
And I don't think I could have that kind of mentality if I didn't have a trainer who I completely trusted. You know, I trust him to check it out and he's like, we call him the wizard because the things he can see in just like one round of watching someone box, it's pretty incredible. So if he can find any footage on anyone that I'm about to fight, that's all he needs. He'll let me know if there's any like adjustments we need to make. And I just trust that. I don't even know why are we training that today, Joe? It doesn't matter. If he thinks I need to, we'll do it. And that's all I can focus on. Otherwise I spin out. So thank goodness I have a Joe.
That's good. Joe's awesome too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Zach, how's Larry doing? Zach?
In your corner. He lost unanimous decision, unfortunately.
Oh, damn.
No. What?
Yeah,
damn.
Sorry, he lost a unanimous decision. His fight just got over.
That was a tough fight for him. That kid was tough.
I think it was like 99-91 unanimous decision. I think he only won one round. That kid was quick.
Yeah.
It just seemed like he was just one step ahead the whole time. But Larry's tough. He hung in there all the way to the end. He's trying.
It's tough. And he's quick. So wow.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, Ash, do you have any sponsors you want to give a shout out to while we have you on?
I have no.
Or
looking
just
for sponsors.
Any shout out? Well, hey, you know what? We need to talk after this because
Title Boxing South Jordan. They've housed me for a long time. So thank you to them. Thank you to Joe and my team, Horizonte. I had two guys from my team specifically ask for a shout out. So I'm going to shout out to Dylan and I'm going to shout out to Hipper. My guys, they beat me up all the time, but they care about me and they know I think they're awesome. So those are my shout outs. My wife, Becca. You know what?
Becca.
She puts up with so much. She's supportive of me doing all this craziness. So that's always awesome. Every day, shout out to Becca. And thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. We need to chat after this because we should probably do another run of your shirts for your fights.
Yeah.
I think we should. I think we might have to have this conversation.
Let's do it.
We can. Yeah, we're going to have this conversation. Anyways.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry about the having to they rescheduled your fight, but we look forward to watching you fighting in January.
That's, and as Zach knows, it's part of the fight game. Stuff gets postponed. Opponents drop out all the time. Yeah. This year has taken that to the 10,000th degree. But anyone who's crazy enough to want to keep fighting, it's just part of it now. It'll happen. Yeah. It'll happen. So, no worries.
There we go. Keep up the good work, Ash. Some people chiming in there. All right, Ash. Well, thanks again for joining us. And
thank you.
We will chat with you and see you throw down and make your opponent do the Nate Robinson challenge.
Yes.
Sounds good. And we out of here. Thank you guys for listening.
See you guys.